it's also incumbent upon the individual to take some responsibility that we know not your keys, not your crypto. That's been made abundantly clear. Even with these bank failures, I believe that ultimately depositors deserve some form of a haircut because ultimately they choose. Now, if I say, hey, go to Silicon Valley Bank and get a loan, and you're like, yeah, I get a loan here, I get all these benefits, ultimately you take that risk. So it is incumbent upon the individual to take responsibility as well. Yes, a doctor can refer you, hey, maybe this medicine will work.
But the individuals aren't the experts. That's the whole problem, is they rely on experts to help them make this decision. They don't have the luxury of spending all day looking at finance and stuff like this. So they rely on people to make their decisions for better or worse. And then when things go wrong, ultimately people are going to look to the experts in the room and say, hey, what happened? And if the answer is, well, we just didn't do enough due diligence, sorry, that's kind of a problem. So I think that's where their questions about like giving back all the money come from. Have you spoken to anybody about just giving back the money to the people affected?
Once all the cards are settled, or all the dust is settled, so to speak, and everybody gets whatever money is left back, whatever deposits are left, I'm a big fan of contributing to some sort of recovery fund when it's all over, not because I feel responsible. I do not feel responsible, but because I feel sorry for people who, quite frankly, lost money because they either didn't listen to the advice of not your keys, not your crypto, or they put too much of their own portfolio on. If I go onto a gambling website because somebody says, hey, go gamble here, you'll make a lot of money, and I lose money, that's on me. And I want to be clear too, I invested in BlockFi thinking this was going to be a great investment. I put $420,000 into BlockFi. I lost every dime of that because the company went bankrupt. Now, did I blame Anthony Pompliano for making the recommendation or suggesting, hey, you could invest with my fund into BlockFi? Absolutely not, because I'm a big boy and I take personal responsibility. So I want to be very clear, just because I suggest that, hey, there should be, and I'm happy to work with this, some form of like basically a charity. Let's be clear, that's what it is. It's not taking responsibility, because ultimately I don't think any influencer has to take responsibility for what somebody does with product advice. That responsibility should only arise if somebody actually hires somebody, like retaining an attorney, hiring a doctor for their own personal situation, or hiring a personal financial advisor. Otherwise, from there, it's a lesson to the whole community. We've got to be more careful with sponsors, and the viewers have to be, diligent about their own decisions.
Well, there you go, guys. Those are the thoughts of MeetKevin, and I want to thank him for coming on. And maybe one day he'll start that charity he's talking about. Maybe not. But until then, I just want you to understand something the next time you're thinking of trusting a financial influencer. These promotional deals, how they work with things like FTX, is that there's a code associated with it that tracks sales. For example, you might have heard of somebody saying, hey, use code CoffeeZilla, or, they have some link, right? So FTX can see how many people signed up with Kevin's link or Shaq's link. And you know who takes responsibility when it's time to make money? The influencer. They take responsibility for you joining their platform. That's how FTX grew. They paid all these people who wanted to be responsible for bringing you in. But you know what happens when things go wrong? Suddenly, they're not responsible. You did it. It's on you. Isn't that a convenient switch up of who brought you in? At first it was them, and then you brought yourself in. You got to take responsibility for your own actions. And I just don't think this is really working for people anymore. I think it really just benefits the influencers and the financial companies, but hardly anyone else. It's bad for regular people, and I think there just really needs to be new rules in place about financial experts in the modern era. But hey, that's just my opinion. # not financial advice.